Alright students, let's take a look at number 2 on week 17 homework. This is also a very interesting question. So there's a graph here. We gotta read this graph and answer certain questions about this graph. The question says, about how many more immigrants came to the United States before 1940 than after 1940? Be sure to show your work. So what we need to know here is we're looking at this number, right? We should figure out what all these blue lines truly stand for. The first one is 1,000. It's right on the money. Second one is between 400 and 600, so let's just call it 500. The third one is between 0 and 200. It's in the middle, so let's say it's 100. The fourth one is 200. The fifth one is between 2 and 400, so let's call it 300. And the last one is right on 400, so let's just say it's 400. So we're talking about how many more. Whenever you see how many more, you need to subtract. Okay, that's the key phrase here. Came to the United States before 1940 and after 1940. So where is 1940 on this graph? It's actually right here, right in the middle. Why is it so? Because to the left of it, it says 1930 to 1939. To the right of it, it says 1940 to 1949. So it is right here when you can make the divide. Now, we're literally trying to figure out the difference between the left side and the right side. Okay, so what do we need to do here? We need to add the three numbers from the left and then subtract it from the three numbers, or the sum of the three numbers on the right. So we're doing the sum, which means, addition, the answer of addition problem on the left, subtracting the sum on the right. So all you need to do is just write the math out, right? 1,000 plus 500, you're doing this first, that's 1,500. Plus another 100, that's 1,600, right? And what do we have on the right? We have 200 plus 300, which is 500. Add another 400, which is 900. So the sum on the left is 1,000. The sum on the right is 900. We're doing 1,000 minus 900. 0 minus 0, 0. 0 minus 0, 0. 0 can't minus 9, so we think about 10 minus 9, right? Borrow 1. Even if you do it that way, you borrow 1 from this digit, this becomes a 0, you put a 1 here. So it's the same thing. 10 minus 9 is 1. The answer here is 100, right? So what should you do? You gotta write a sentence here. You have a lot of space. I give you a lot of space for a reason, because you do need to show all the math, but you also need to write a sentence. You should write about 100. See, we're just restating the question, right? About 100 immigrants came to the United States before 1940. Then after 1940. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much. That's how you do number 2. Number 3. This is actually seemed to be very simple, but actually not that simple. All right, so be very careful and make sure you remember what I did. This is important here. Number 3 says, use the data in the pictograph to complete a line plot below. So obviously you have 4 things you need to plot. Whatever you have here on the left, this right here, you need to put them on the bottom, right? Hash this out evenly. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 spots. And then put these numbers, spread them along these 4. Now, you have to hash them out evenly because you see it's increasing by half. It goes from 3.5 to 4, so it's increased by half. 4 to 4.5, it increased by half again. 4.5 to 5, it increased by half a third time. So every single time it's getting longer by half inches. Okay. So if the rate of change here is not the same, then you need to leave spaces for something in the middle. Okay, you'll see what I mean very, very quickly. 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5. Now, each one of these eraser stands for two actual checks, okay, two X's. So the first one, 3.5, I need to draw two. Just count by twos. 2, 4, 6 X's. So I'm going to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Second one, I only need to draw two. 1, 2. For the third one, I need to draw 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 X's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Last one, draw 4, 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? The title of this graph. Now, this is really, really simple. You just combine the wording here. That's all you need to do. Take some words out, make it write something that makes sense, right? So we're talking about erasers and length. So the simplest thing to write is just write eraser length in inches. Okay? This is exceedingly easy to do. Now, you have plotted this one correctly. Make sure you read the key here. The key will tell you how many of these actual erasers here stands for. Basically, the key tells you what you're counting by. Okay, in this case, you're counting by twos, but in a different question, you might be counting by a different number. So always read the key. Thank you so much. All right, let's take a look at number 4. Okay, number 4. Number 4, very interesting question also. It says, use the table to complete the line plot below. Don't forget to include a title. So here we're talking about height in feet, a number of students. So I can make an easy title, okay? Student height in feet. Okay, you want to write that? That's totally okay. Now, how many things must we hash out? This is the key here. It's very tricky. This one is different from the last one because it went from 3 1/4 to 3 to 1/2. This increased by 1/4. I know this part is extremely confusing. This is why. 3 and 1/4, 3 and 2/4, 3 and 3/4, 4. That's increasing by 1/4 every time. Okay? If you add 1/4 every time, you go from 3 to 4, right? Because 4 of these make one whole. So you have to understand that right off the bat, this 3 and 2/4 is the same as 3 and 1/2. Okay? So this jumped by 1/2. So the first hash mark is for 3 and 1/4. The second one, 3 and 1/2. The third one, they did not do any marking here, right? There's nothing for 3 and 3/4. But I'm going to draw a hash mark anyway. 3 and 3/4, 4. Okay? And then we need to be very careful because after 4, we have 4 and 1/4 because the rate of change is the same. And then we have 4 and 1/2. Why? Because we just added another fourth. That is so because 4 and 1/2 is the same as 4 and 2/4. So in order for me to hash this out evenly, I need to do 4 and 1/4. Oh, I'm so sorry. I should have write it here. And then 4 and 1/2. That is what I needed to do. If I was increasing the rate by 1/4, and if I was spacing my hash marks on the bottom out evenly, that is what I should be doing. Okay? You might be wondering, but there's only 4 numbers here. I don't need to, what happens to 3 and 3/4 and 4 and 1/4? What do I draw here? You draw nothing because no data is given. Okay? That is why you need to be very careful. Whenever there's a fraction here, this is very difficult, very difficult to do. You have to recognize the rate of change and see if that's consistent. All right? And if you're hashing out, spacing out your marks evenly, that is the key. All right? So for 3 and 1/4, you're drawing 6 X's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For 3 1/2, you're drawing 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For 3 and 3/4, since there's not even one here, you're drawing nothing. For 4, you're drawing 2. For 4 and 1/4, again, nothing, you're drawing nothing. For 4 1/2, you're drawing 3. 1, 2, and 3. So that is how your graph should look. All right, I know you have never done something like this before, and it's very easy to get this wrong. That's why you need to be very, very careful. All right, remember how I spaced out the hash mark based on the rate of change. In this instance, it's 1/4. They're increasing by 1/4. Okay? All right, thank you so much for paying attention. Let's take a break.